Like you can't gang bang and thug in the streets and get money. All you dumb used to always tell me, you can't get money. You got to pick one. Well, I picked both and look what I got.
You might remember that line from Lil Durk, "You better have your gun for Boona." Lil Durk's close friend, known as OTF Boona from Lamron, has recently been arrested. He was charged with carrying out a brutal homicide that people are even comparing to something done by a cartel. This whole situation could easily be looked at as a case study.
Oh, it is. Love them, man. Them boys. That's like second home, man. That is my second home, too, man. You know what I'm saying? I stepped through mud with a lot of them bloods, man. And I love them, man. At the same time, man. Big b0dy style, man. Y'all know how we coming, man. Big racks, man. OTF, man. We winning, man. Y'all know what it is. Y'all, man. It's all good, though, man. It's all good, though, man. It's all good. Y'all mad. Y'all mad because we getting money. Look at this shit, man. Y'all mad. I love my brother. Hey, look, you hear me? Look on Max, man. My brother love me so much. He said, I'm going to put you in position to get this money, bro. I ain't going to leave you nothing but get money. I love him, man. I don't give a fuck how nobody feel, man. You in tour with him, you in tour with me on Max.
It shows how some people in the streets are given the chance to change, to leave crime behind, and maybe even build a better life. But instead, they choose to keep going down the same criminal path. Right now, it feels like almost everybody connected to OTF is either dead or in jail. The cycle is crazy to watch. It's wild to see how one person's death or one big arrest can completely shift the balance of everything. For example, look at how many losses STL EBT and their people took after b0dy died. Then think about how much O-Block suffered after King Von passed. And now consider how many setbacks OTF has been facing since Lil Durk got locked up. It's really insane when you think about it. One moment or one person can change the entire direction of a group, leaving nothing but loss after loss. Who is Boona? For those unfamiliar, Boona is not just a casual associate of Lil Durk. He's been one of Durk's closest friends since their earliest days in Chicago. Both of them came up on the South Side, in an area deeply tied to the Lamron set, which is a faction closely associated with the Black Disciples. Growing up in such an environment meant that loyalty, reputation, and survival were all intertwined, and that's where Boona's name started to carry weight. Over the years, Boona developed a strong reputation on the streets. There have long been whispers and rumors about his activities, with many suggesting that he had several bodies to his name. While much of this talk is rooted in street legend and speculation, what's undeniable is that his name was one that commanded respect and sometimes fear. His reputation became even more cemented in 2021 when he was allegedly involved in a major shootout in Atlanta that left 3 people injured. This incident not only made headlines, but also further solidified his image as someone who lived by the code of the streets. Unsurprisingly, because of his lifestyle and reputation, Boona has spent plenty of time behind bars, going in and out of jail on multiple occasions. His relationship with Lil Durk. Lil Durk has never been shy about keeping Boona close, not just physically, but symbolically as well. In the world of rap, where friendships and alliances can shift quickly, Durk has consistently shown loyalty to Boona. Their relationship extends beyond friendship. It's more like family. To Durk, Boona wasn't just a childhood friend. He was someone who stood by him in critical moments, someone who understood his background, struggles, and way of life. Durk often immortalized that loyalty in his music. Across multiple tracks, he made sure to mention Boona by name, giving him recognition and respect that went far beyond simple shoutouts. For example, on the track Times, Durk rapped, "Free Boona, he gon' blame," which wasn't just a lyric. It was a message to the world that Boona was someone ready to take action when necessary. On another track, Did Shit to Me, Durk gave insight into their bond with the bar. "I need Boona home. Only dude I know that speak his mind. I told bro I need to get back. He say, get back come with time." That line highlighted that Boona wasn't just muscle. He was also someone Durk respected for his advice and perspective. On Locked Up, Durk's words carried a more emotional weight. Boona gotta do one more year. I know he can't wait. It was a public acknowledgement of his friend's sentence and a reminder of how much he wanted to see him free again. Through these lyrics, Durk kept Boona's name alive and relevant, making sure fans knew who he was and what role he played in the OTF, Only the Family Circle. Boona's role in OTF. While some people close to rap stars play more behind-the-scenes roles, Boona was widely seen as the muscle of OTF. He wasn't necessarily the guy you'd see in every music video or public appearance, but when things got tense or when Durk needed an extra layer of security, Boona was often the one stepping up. Those who know the OTF structure often describe him as a protector, a loyal enforcer, and someone who carried himself like a soldier within the crew. Earlier in 2023, he even made headlines again after an incident at a festival where he stepped in when a fan tried to get too close to Lil Durk. To many fans, this wasn't surprising at all. It was just Boona doing what he always did, protecting his brother, making sure that Durk was safe, and reinforcing his role as someone who could be counted on in any situation. What happened to Boona? The morning of July 22nd. In the early hours of July 22nd, residents of Gwinnett County, Georgia, awoke to the kind of scene that rattles an entire community. At approximately 6 a.m., officers with the Gwinnett County Police Department responded to an emergency call about a person lying motionless on the ground near a church. When they arrived, they found the body of a man later identified as Oscar Oz Cruz, lifeless and riddled with gunshot wounds. Detectives immediately treated the location as a homicide scene. Yellow tape went up. The crime scene unit began combing the area, and homicide detectives spread out to look for witnesses or camera footage that might explain what had happened. At that point, police had neither suspects nor a clear motive. For a time, the case was wide open, and the level of violence suggested something deeply personal or extremely calculated. The break in the case. Weeks later, investigators revealed the shocking twist. OTF's Boona, a longtime friend and associate of Lil Durk, had been arrested and charged with the murder. The news sent waves through Chicago's rap scene and the broader hip-hop community, because Boona was more than just another name. He was part of Durk's inner circle, someone referenced in songs, seen as OTF's muscle, and often viewed as both loyal protector and street soldier. Court documents and investigative paperwork painted a disturbing picture of the night leading up to Oscar Cruz's death. What began as a robbery spiraled into something far darker. The robbery and kidnapping. According to investigators, Boona allegedly went to Cruz's residence on the night of July 21st into the early hours of July 22nd. His intent, they said, was robbery, to take money, jewelry, and other valuables. Inside the home, the confrontation escalated quickly. Reports claim Boona brandished a firearm, holding Cruz at gunpoint while he rifled through the house searching for valuables. But instead of taking what he could and leaving, the crime took a more sinister turn. Investigators say Cruz was bound with duct tape, restrained against his will, and then forcibly removed from his home. Boona then allegedly placed Cruz into his own vehicle, turning the robbery into a kidnapping. He drove the victim to the parking lot of a nearby church where the crime reached its chilling conclusion. The brutal murder. The paperwork describes the execution in disturbing detail. Oscar Oz Cruz was shot more than 17 times. Gunshot wounds struck him in the face, the mouth, his torso, and his legs, leaving little doubt that the killing was meant to be final and devastating. Detectives described the shooting as sadistic, grotesque, and carried out with extreme brutality. The location of the murder, in front of a church, added a haunting dimension to the crime. While investigators said there was no evidence Boona deliberately chose the church for symbolic reasons, the setting nevertheless cast a disturbing shadow over the act. It underscored the randomness, the cruelty, and the sheer disregard for human life and sanctity that defined the crime. When police announced Boona's arrest, it immediately became a headline story. Within the rap world, it was a bombshell. The man so often mentioned in Lil Durk's lyrics as a brother in arms a loyal soldier, was now facing charges for one of the most brutal killings in recent memory. The charges laid against him included murder, armed robbery, kidnapping, and weapons-related offenses, each carrying severe penalties. Given the gruesome nature of the crime, prosecutors signaled they would pursue the case aggressively. Impact on OTF and public perception. For OTF only the family, Boona's arrest was devastating. His reputation had long been that of the protector, the one who stepped up when things went left. Now his name was tied to allegations of extreme violence that could define him forever. For Lil Durk, it was another tragic moment in a career and personal life already marked by loss, arrests, and the violent realities of the streets he came from. Having rapped lines like "Free Boona" in the past, fans saw how deep their bond ran. But now those words echo differently, against the backdrop of one of the darkest cases to ever involve an OTF member. One of the biggest unanswered questions in the case of Boona and the murder of Oscar Oz Cruz is the motive, and to this day no official explanation has been given by authorities. Why did Boona allegedly target Cruz? That remains the puzzle at the heart of the tragedy. While prosecutors have laid out the sequence of events, the robbery, the kidnapping, and the killing, the why remains speculative. Some believe Boona may have been carrying out a string of robberies around Georgia at the time, possibly as a way to make money, and that Oscar may have been chosen because he was perceived to have wealth, whether through cash, jewelry, or social ties. Others suggest that there might have been a personal dispute, some kind of hidden conflict between the two men that has never been made public. Still others whisper about deeper connections, such as rumors that Oscar was linked to the infamous 2021 break-in at Lil Durk's Atlanta home, an incident where Durk and his girlfriend India were forced to defend themselves against intruders. If that rumor holds any truth, Boona's actions could be seen as a form of revenge or retaliation. Yet, despite these theories, no confirmed motive has been released, and the contrast between how Oscar was described by loved ones as a kind-hearted father with no criminal ties, and the brutal way he was killed only deepens the mystery. What is known is how the case unfolded in the aftermath. After the killing, law enforcement launched an intensive search, ultimately involving the U.S. Marshals Service, a sign of how dangerous and high priority they considered Boona to be. His arrest and subsequent charges for murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and weapons offenses signaled just how severe the legal consequences would be. Oscar, who was only 28 years old and remembered as a devoted father, was pronounced dead at the scene. His family left to grieve publicly, while describing him as one of the sweetest souls you could ever meet in a GoFundMe post. The violence shocked the Lawrenceville community and resonated in the hip-hop world, casting another dark shadow over OTF and its orbit. This was not the first time Boona's name was tied to such violence. In 2021, he had already been arrested after the Cumberland Mall shootout in Atlanta, which left 4 people injured, including a 6-year-old child. Investigators linked him to that case after he dropped his phone at the scene, leading to charges of aggravated assault with intent to murder. Much like the Cruz case, prosecutors said he acted alone and targeted rivals believed to be affiliated with MCFGG, a crew tied at one point to Lil Baby's 4PF camp. By 2025, at the time of Oscar's murder, Boona was still on parole from that shooting, raising sharp criticism of the justice system and questions about whether stricter parole monitoring could have prevented another tragedy. Taken together, Boona's past and present paint the picture of a man whose life has been marked by repeated acts of violence. And while the true motive behind Oscar Cruz's killing remains elusive, the brutality of the act, the pain left behind for Cruz's family, and the heavy legal road ahead for Boona leave no doubt about the gravity of what happened. Boona's story is one that blends loyalty, street reputation, and music culture. To outsiders, he might just seem like one of Lil Durk's many friends, but to those who follow Chicago street politics and OTF's rise, he represents something bigger. He's the example of how deeply Durk stays tied to his roots, even after achieving worldwide fame. Despite the wealth and success, Durk never cut off the people who were with him from the beginning, and Boona is the clearest example of that. At the same time, Boona's life also reflects the dangers that come with that loyalty, with multiple incarcerations, violent altercations, and the constant risk of street life. His story is a reminder of how heavy the cost can be for those who live by the code of the streets. Yet to this day, he remains a name closely tied to Lil Durk and OTF, not just as a friend, but as a symbol of loyalty, protection, and brotherhood. Boona's arrest tells a story that is both tragic and eye-opening. It serves as a chilling reminder of how thin the line really is between loyalty, reputation, and destruction in the world of Chicago street culture and rap. For many, Boona was not just another name in the headlines. He was a childhood friend of Lil Durk, a trusted protector, and someone deeply woven into the fabric of OTF. In that role, he was seen as the muscle, the one who would stand up when things got dangerous. But according to prosecutors, that same reputation and willingness to act is what led him to commit one of the most brutal and heartless murders Gwinnett County has seen in years. If true, it shows how the very qualities that made him respected in the streets also brought about his downfall. No matter what the courts decide, Boona's legacy has been permanently changed by this case. Instead of being remembered only as Lil Durk's right-hand man and loyal friend, his name is now tied to an act of extreme violence. And for the victim, Oscar Oz Cruz, the horror of his final moments ensures that his story too will remain a part of this dark chapter. In the end, both lives, one cut short, the other likely lost to prison, show how devastating the cycle of violence can be, even for those who seem untouchable. As we are going to an end of the story, you must remember, despite the robbery and brutal death of Oscar Oz Cruz was very good kid and kind-hearted growing up, his family and his community remember them as a kind-hearted and well-loved individual in his community. This incident remains one of the most harrowing examples of how brutal and cruel people you trust can become. As a young black man, I often sit back and wonder, why throw away so much potential chasing death or prison? There are so many other ways to get it, legally, creatively, and with purpose. Whatever you dream of doing, there's a better path. You just have to believe it's worth more than the streets. As a young black man, I wonder why waste so much potential chasing death or jail. There's so many other ways to make money or whatever you admire to do. God bless all of you. To those who heartbreakingly lost their lives like Oscar Oz Cruz, may they rest in eternal peace. No words can fully mend such deep sorrow, but may their memory be cherished with love, and their impact live on in the hearts they touched. May those grieving find comfort, the wounded find healing, and the departed find serenity. As we come to the close of this video, I want to take a moment to say, I'll be reading every one of your comments. Your thoughts, emotions, and reflections truly matter. They hold real meaning. Before we finish, I have a small request. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment encouraging young people to choose peace over violence, not just in Chicago, but throughout the country. I also invite you to share a message of condolence or support in the comments for the victims, their families, and everyone affected by these tragic losses. As this video ends, know that I'm genuinely looking forward to reading each and every comment. Your words matter. Thank you for being part of this positive mission and peace conversation. I'll catch y'all next time. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay solid. Peace. See you soon for the next one.